So there are a lot of books lying around my house, like literally just piles of books. And on our bookshelf, there's a ton that we own that we have never read. And a lot of those were given to us, and a lot of them are Austin's books. But I just wanted to go through the books and kind of see what I haven't read yet and see if there's any that I maybe want to try to read. So let's do it. We're gonna start off here at my bookshelf. It's where I have the most books. This is everything from my bookshelf, and I'm just gonna put them on my trash can. So first off, I grabbed Orphan Island, which I got at Goodwill, and honestly I kind of got it for the cover because it's really pretty. I read the synopsis and it sounded really good. With full stomachs and join their hearts, and only one thing ever changes. On that day each year when a boat appears from the mist upon the ocean carrying one young child to join them and taking the eldest one away, never to be seen again. I just don't know why I've never read it. I think I might actually read this next because that does sound really good. When I first read the synopsis, I was kind of like, that sounds really dark and I'm not ready to read another dark novel, but maybe I was overestimating it. Okay, next we have Devil in the White City, and this book is really dark, and I only made it like 3 chapters in before I was like, I just don't know. If you haven't heard of it, it's basically a murder mystery thriller set in Chicago. I think it's the first World Fair, or the 1893 World's Fair. I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. The writing, I don't know, something about it seemed off to me. I heard people really like this book though, so I do want to give it a try and try to power through it. I just don't know if it's for me. I have another version of The Book Thief. I don't know how that happened, but I haven't read either of them. This is the stack from here. Next up we have The Night Sister. Let me read it really quick. Upon a brief reading of the synopsis, this is about a family that basically, it's so dusty, goes to this, what is it, a hotel? Oh yeah, the Tower Motel. And then something horrible happens and they each think that it was the other person that committed this terrible crime. It also just sounds really sad, so I think that's probably why I haven't read it yet. Apparently it's very twisty and witty and thrilling, so maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe in October, we'll see. So this book is also one that I got in Alaska on the cruise, or while on the cruise in Alaska, and it's by Stephen Greenblatt and it's called The Swerve. It's actually a literary nonfiction, which sounds really interesting, and it's basically about the discovery of a poem that kind of changed the trajectory of culture, which sounds super interesting. Maybe one day I'll do just a bunch, like a marathon nonfiction reading, but it's hard because every time that I read nonfiction, I want to read like theology books or Christian nonfiction. Well, I just feel like it's hard for me to want to read nonfiction that's not like relevant to my everyday life. But this does sound really interesting, so maybe I'll read it. This is probably terrible, but I've not read all of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, but this cover is so pretty. And I've read some of the stories, just not all of it. So this book, I have no idea where or when I got it. Probably at Goodwill, but it's The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. It's definitely a classic work. I've heard a lot of people say that it's really good. I don't know. So it says it's about pursuing questions of identity and insanity along the paths and corridors of English country houses and the madhouse that combined gothic horror with psychological realism. That actually sounds really good. I loved Rebecca and We Have Always Lived in the Castle, and this is kind of giving me those vibes. I might try to start this. And finally, The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mandel. Okay, I've definitely started this book and I didn't get very far. It sounds like a mystery thriller and very present day, very realistic type of thriller. And not that I don't like to read those, but I just don't read those. I think I probably got it for the cover. It looks very fantasy, so maybe I thought it would have a little bit more like fantasy elements to it. but I don't think it does. I'm sure it's a great book, but that's just not the type of book that I really read. So I'm just gonna keep it looking pretty on this beautiful shelf. So there you have it. So that's basically all the books that we own that I bought for myself that I haven't read yet. It was just super fun to go through all these and find some hidden gems, and I thought it'd be good to maybe be aware of what books I have rather than going out and buying new books. Hopefully I will see you soon.